All right, let's dive in. Today we're going deep with Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Oh, a classic.
Definitely. And we're using an academic paper, get this, political analysis of Do the Right Thing, to really unpack it.
Sounds intense.
It is, in a good way. So the movie, you've probably seen it, it grapples with some huge questions about confronting injustice, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's Spike Lee, right? Always pushing buttons.
Exactly. But this paper takes it a step further. It looks at how Lee uses his characters to explore the whole legacy of, like, Martin Luther King Jr. versus Malcolm X. Two very different approaches to fighting for what's right.
Fascinating. So, like, is there a right way, according to Lee?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? And the paper argues that Lee doesn't give us an easy answer.
Oh, so it's not a King good, Malcolm X bad kind of thing.
Not at all. It's way more nuanced. It's like he's presenting a whole range of characters who kind of embody different aspects of each philosophy.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So who are our key players here? Who's Team King? Who's Team Malcolm X?
Well, it's not that simple, but you could say Mayor and Mookie, at least initially, seem to align with King's ideas of nonviolent resistance.
Yeah, I can see that. Dave Mayer, he's all about keeping the peace, right?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that scene where he goes to the store and they're out of his beer, Miller High Life?
Oh, yeah. He's like a regular there.
He could have flipped out, made a scene, but he just kind of shrugs it off, picks a different beer, no big deal.
So, like, choosing peace over beer. Very King-like.
Right. And then there's that scene with Mother's sister, remember? She just lays into him, insults him to his face.
Oh, man. Mother's sister doesn't hold back.
But Mayer, he keeps his cool, responds with civility, like he's trying to win her over with kindness.
Like, kill him with kindness. That's definitely a King move.
Totally. And then there's Mookie. Early on, he's all about it's cooling, trying to de-escalate any tension, but is that always the right thing?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Is there a point where you got to speak up, even fight back?
And that brings us to the other side of the equation. You've got Buggin Out and Radio Raheem, who definitely seem to represent a more confrontational approach.
Oh, yeah, those two are firecrackers.
Buggin Out, he's not afraid to make a scene. He challenges Sal directly about the lack of black faces on that wall of fame in the pizzeria.
That scene is so tense, you know something's gonna blow.
And he straight up says to Sal, I'm making trouble. He wants representation, he wants respect, and he's not going to be quiet about it.
He even calls for a boycott, right? A direct challenge to Sal's power. Definitely not passive like DeMayer.
Exactly. And then you've got Radio Raheem always blasting Public Enemy with those love and hate rings.
Those rings, man, they're like a symbol of the whole movie's conflict.
Right. And the paper points out that Radio Raheem uses those rings to illustrate this inner struggle, this tension between love and hate.
It's like he's got this fire inside him, and sometimes it bursts out. Like when he gets in that argument over his music.
Oh, yeah, he yells, I'll fuck you up.
And Buggin' Out's right there egging him on. 2 times.
They're ready to fight back, even if it means violence. So you've got these two contrasting approaches. But then the film takes this huge turn. Mookie, our seemingly peaceful protagonist, does something that completely changes the game.
Oh, man. Yeah, the trash can through the window. That's a moment.
After Radio Raheem's death, Mookie just snaps, throws the trash can, yells, hate. It's like a complete 180 from his earlier behavior.
So is he suddenly Team Malcolm X now? Is that what Lee's saying is the right thing?
That's where things get really complicated, and that's what we'll dig into next. Okay, so, wow, Mookie throws that trash can. Big moment. But what does it all mean? Is violence the answer? What's Lee trying to tell us?
Well, that's where this academic paper really shines. It argues that Lee doesn't pick sides. He doesn't say King's way is better or Malcolm X's way is better.
And that's what's so frustrating for some people, right? They want a clear answer, a good guy, a bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. But life's not like that. And Do the Right Thing, it reflects that messiness.
Yeah. I guess that's why it's still so relevant. But the paper actually says, hold on, let me find the exact quote, passivity or activism, there is still no answer in Do the Right Thing.
Powerful stuff. So does that mean it's all just hopeless? Like, no point in even trying?
That's a good question. What do you think?
I actually think that's what makes the film so powerful. It doesn't give us the answers. It makes us think, makes us confront these questions ourselves.
Instead of being told what to think, we have to figure it out.
Exactly. It's like Lee's saying, hey, here's the reality of injustice. Now you deal with it. What's your right thing?
Whoa, okay. So it's not about finding this one perfect answer that works for everyone.
Right. It's more about like this ongoing conversation, this wrestling with tough questions, always questioning, always evolving.
Okay, I like that. But I mean, how does that translate to real life? King, Malcolm X, that's big stuff. What about our day-to-day choices?
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? The film shows us there's no magic formula. What's right in one situation could be wrong in another.
So we got to be flexible, adapt to each situation.
Yeah, and be really honest with ourselves, too. Like, what are our biases? What are we even capable of?
Self-awareness is huge, I guess. And being willing to listen to others, even when we disagree.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this isn't about winning or losing an argument.
It's about building a better world for everyone. Right.
Exactly. And that takes, dialogue, understanding, working together even when it's hard.
Speaking of hard, that ending, man,
Yeah.
just as ambiguous as the rest of the
I
film.
know, right? Those quotes from King and Malcolm X at the end, they just stick with you.
What did you make of that?
Yeah, it's like Lee is giving us both sides, but not telling us which side to pick.
And the paper actually dives into those quotes, says they represent, like, the core conflict in the film, love versus hate, peace versus violence. Pretty deep stuff.
And it's not even about picking a side, right? It's about understanding how those things, interact,
Yeah.
how they shape us, how they play out in the world. Exactly. Lee's not shying away from the anger, the frustration that comes with injustice, but he's also saying it doesn't have to lead to just destruction. It can be a force for change, for building something better.
Which brings us back to that whole doing the right thing
Correct.
idea. It's not about following a rule book or copying someone else.
Right. It's about finding your own path, your own way of making a difference based on what you believe in, even when it's tough.
That's what makes the film so powerful, I think. It's not just about one hot summer day in Brooklyn. It's about the struggle that's still going on today, the choices we all face.
Yeah, it's timeless, that's for sure. So as we wrap up, what are your final thoughts for our listener? What should they take away from all this?
Good question. What do you think?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that there's no easy answer, no one right way to fight injustice. What matters is that we're thinking about it, listening to different perspectives,
Yeah.
and never giving up on that fight for a more just world.
Yeah, maybe doing the right thing isn't always about winning or losing, but about having those conversations, building those bridges, working towards something better, even if it's messy, even if it takes time.
I like that. It's about the long game, really.
Yeah.
Patience, empathy, being willing to listen to people who see things differently than we do.
So, to our listener, keep asking those tough questions, keep pushing yourself and everyone around you to do the right thing, even when it's hard.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.